April 14th, 2016. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 97 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting across from me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
We got an email from listener John who told us about something that has started up at Mohegan Sun. They have introduced this new thing called Momentum Play Plus, and it's part of their Players Club. And what it is it allows customers to use a card on slot machines to load money and to also extract the winnings. So, this money kind of stays on this card, almost like a credit card or a debit card is probably a better way to say it.
Right, so a more efficient way to get your money into machines.
Exactly.
And can you use it on a table?
I don't think so. No,
so
that's a good. Yeah,
you can't access. You can't get chips, and they deduct out of it.
No, it's not like that.
Just on machines.
You go into machines and you load it on there, and then when you're done, if there's you can then put the winnings back on the card, and then move over to another machine and like that. And this is something that's been coming, for a while. There's been talk about this kind of a thing for a while.
So what happens when somebody forgets their card in the machine?
Yeah,
right,
that's right.
Right.
That's
just like, I don't know, they got to go to the bathroom or something and they leave their card there.
That's a good point. I would think that, let's say you forgot your card, but when you cash out, you would, press a button. You might remember to do that. And I would guess then at that point, in order to use the card again, you'd probably have to type in a password.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That'd be my guess.
But that you would think, right?
Yeah, you would think that.
But
that
then
would be the way
again,
it
somebody
goes.
could just be over your shoulder and see your password.
Sure. Oh, I mean, it's
look
always
for the
an issue.
drunkest guy.
Yeah.
The guy that, fell off his chair at Harrah's the last time we were there.
That's right, yes.
Just look for him and just wait and take his card.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, like anything else, there's got to be, some kind of security involved with it and safety features. But, it eliminates ticket in, ticket out even, right? You just go around and you're able to load this card, I guess, up front and then move on from there. Mohegan Sun, I believe, is the only place that's doing it right now, but I'm sure this is something that's going to spread to other casinos.
Oh, I'm sure that's the way of the future. I mean, no more bucket of nickels.
Right? Anywhere.
Anywhere. Yeah. God, we've gone from bucket of nickels to eventually there'll just be a chip embedded in my brain that allows me to think about spending money in a slot machine, and it's done.
That's right. And it gets deducted. And pretty soon you're out of money. You don't know why. Your brain's empty.
Yeah, my brain's empty.
That's right.
Hell, if you sit in a slot machine long enough, your brain is empty.
Yeah, so it's going to be, it's kind of like it is now. It's just you won't have any money.
Just a faster version.
It's a faster version, yeah. So we just got back from VZZZT. It was 2 weeks ago. It seems like forever ago, and we're finally getting around to doing
Well, we did that show right before we left.
Yes. So let's talk about this. First of all, we want to say thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link at the top of the page. That way, when you make a purchase, we get a little kickback that helps cover the costs of hosting the show, and it doesn't cost you a thing. You'll pay the same price just like normal. So, we got up early on that Friday morning.
Very early.
I got over to your house a little bit before 5 o'clock, right?
Right, yeah, like 4:45.
Something like that. And so we got on the first flight out to Vegas. No problem there. It was a full flight. Did that surprise you?
Oh, God, I was shocked.
Yeah.
I thought the first flight,
on a Friday morning.
it was a Friday, so people are getting out of town, but the first flight, completely full.
Yep,
completely full. We sat across the aisle from each other.
Yeah, so this is what we did. We both got an aisle seat and thought, well, we can still talk, but we both have aisle seats.
Because we were in the early boarding group. We were like in the A group, so we had our pick basically of the plane. So we both get aisle seats, and then then she announces, well, it's going to be a full flight, so don't worry about saving that middle seat. They're all going to be full.
Yep.
So the plane is almost full, and people have come in and sat on the window seats in our aisles, but neither one of us had a middle seat person.
No, yes.
Right till the very last few people. Yep. And then somebody sat in mine. I don't even remember who it was, a guy or a girl. Yep. But then Mark gets the smallest person on the plane to sit next to him.
It was this little kid, easily the smallest person on the plane.
Easily the smallest. I mean, I'd be surprised if that kid weighed 65 pounds.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Oh, my God. You had so much room.
But the flight was uneventful, and when we landed, I said, okay, Mike, we're going to do Uber. And you were like super scared of doing Uber. You'd never done it before.
Just to backtrack a little bit, I don't know that it was uneventful. My Pie Gal play was terrible on the plane.
Oh, well, that's typical. I don't even know if we needed to tell listeners that. Longtime listeners know when we play Pie Gal on the plane, you lose like crazy. It's terrible.
I think the first 10 hands, I didn't have a pair.
Yeah.
It was just phenomenal. Mark's getting like huge hands and I'm getting nothing.
We should have played for money, but we didn't this time.
No, we didn't. We couldn't. That kid next to you. That would be a terrible role model.
He's flying to Vegas. So
yeah, that's true.
It's probably mature beyond his years.
By himself, too. That was weird.
So we did Uber. So again, you were a little concerned because you thought we were probably going to get killed or whatever because of like the sensational news stories that come on.
Right. Well, those Uber drivers. But they're regular people, which equals crazy.
Yeah, as opposed to cab drivers who are not regular people.
Trained crazy people.
So we didn't go straight to the Uber location. We kind of had to look around. You have to go into the parking garage and go up a level. We didn't.
That's a little confusing, actually. There.
Yeah, the signage is pretty good, but we missed like the final sign that would have taken us up. Yeah. But it didn't take us very long. By the time we actually got there, he had just pulled up. So we ended up taking Uber 4 times on this trip. I think that first Uber driver was probably the best one.
He was excellent. Actually, after that, I was thinking, this is the way to go. Yeah, that guy, he was quick and he was efficient. He was pleasant.
Yep, the car was nice.
His car was super clean. Yep. I don't know that I've ever been in a car that clean, right? Even ones I bought new aren't that clean. That car was clean.
So that went real well. So we headed to Harrah's, which is where we were staying, and we got there so early we couldn't get into the room. So, we just checked our bags. And so immediately, we went to the craps tables, and it started off not going all that well.
It wasn't terrible, It was just not great.
And it's so funny because we're standing there playing, and suddenly you say, oh, well, there's Frank. We have friends of ours, Frank and Mary, who were talking about maybe coming on the trip, but Mary had said a couple nights before, no, we're not going to be able to make it. So when you said, oh, there's Frank, I thought, oh, you're fooling, right?
Well,
we do that all the time, right?
And at first I was, because he was a way off, and he was walking towards us, and I thought, that guy looks a lot like Frank.
Yeah. So.
And I said, well, there's Frank. And before I could make myself look stupid, I realized, that is Frank.
It was Frank. So Frank and Mary just happened. I guess it was a last minute decision, and paid full price for airfare.
I don't even want to know what they paid.
Oh
it was a boatload.
It had to have been because it was last minute, right? Yeah. So, but they were there, so that was good to see them. Well, all we did was see Frank initially, and we didn't see Mary till later. But anyway, we played a little bit at Harrah's, and it wasn't going too well. So we walked down to the Cromwell,
which we like to play.
We love to play at Cromwell, right? And so we were playing there, and as usual, just a great crew.
Very friendly.
Yep, just a terrific crew.
There was a dealer, a French girl. Camille was her name. Yeah. Right. I can't remember her name. Yeah, very nice, very friendly, and all the rest of the crew was great. Yep. And of course, we had good rolls.
Yep. So, I rolled a 4-number fire bet fairly quickly there. So that basically got us up for the trip right away.
Right away.
It was doing good.
And we were doing well. Yeah. And why did we leave there?
I think we were thinking, let's go get something to eat.
Oh, that was really it. Right. It was later in the morning.
Right. And I was kind of looking on my phone trying to figure out a place to eat. We were just hungry at that point is what it came down to.
Right.
And we ended up just eating at the Burger Brasserie over at Paris, because we'd been there before and we didn't see anything else that really caught our...
Paris?
It's technically Paris, even though it's right there on the Bally's casino floor.
Right, it's between Bally's and Paris.
Yeah,
but you walk out of that and you're in Bally's.
Of course, it should be considered Bally's, but technically it's part of Paris just right there. So we ate there, that was good, and then we went to a craps table there at Bally's, and then you got the dice.
Yes, and I rolled another 5.
A 5-point fire bet. Yeah, your third of the year.
Yes, and it came pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made those points. What was my number I needed? It was a 5 again, wasn't it?
No, it could have been that you needed a 5, but you didn't go up on a 5.
I never got up on it. I repeated a 6 again, I believe.
So, this was just, it was going fantastic for us.
And they let you have a $10 fire bet there.
That's right.
As opposed to out here at Harrah's, Southern California, where 5's the max.
That's right. So that paid $2,500.
So I paid $2,500.
Yeah. So that was great.
At that point, we're up a lot.
Yes.
Both you and I were up substantial amounts of money.
Yes. And we thought, well, by now our room is probably ready. Let's head back over to Harrah's. So we got back to Harrah's. The room still wasn't ready. I guess we shouldn't have been too surprised because they were going to call us when it was ready. Yeah. We hadn't gotten a call
and it
yet.
Was a suite. It was a 2-bedroom suite. Yeah. And I guess the people didn't leave till 11. And then and the lady was apologizing and said, well, it takes a while to clean that, which it was pretty big.
So anyway, we found our friend Mary, who was playing Pai Gow Poker, and sat and played with her for a while. I don't know how you did there, Mike. I won 7 hands in a row. Well, or I pushed. I ended up winning 7 times before I finally lost.
Right.
And I was just betting $25 a hand, so I cashed out for a little under $150.
I think in those 7 hands that you played, I won 2 of them and pushed the other 5.
Okay.
I didn't lose. Yeah. And then after you got up and walked away, I played a few more hands, lost, and then won another one and ended up even at that table.
So then finally the room was ready and we went up. Yeah, great suite. 2-bedroom and, has kind of a living room area and everything. So that was great. So once we were in the room, we said, okay, let's really start this trip. Let's tweet out where we are and, maybe we can meet up with some people. So we said, well, we definitely wanted to play at Bellagio. So let's go. We'll tweet that we're on our way to Bellagio and we'll see, what it's like when we got there.
I was going to say that's when I made the fatal mistake that ruined the whole trip.
Oh, that's right. So Mike, was up so much money. He put some of the money in the safe.
Well, I put all of the money I was up in the safe.
Yeah.
And I just left my original money I brought with me in my wallet.
That's right.
Thinking I'm going to play with this. I'm going to pretend like I just got here and I'm going to have this huge reserve to take home.
That's right. And I said, Mike, that's all you're bringing? I think that's the way I phrased it.
Yeah, Mark wanted me to go the other way. He wanted me to bring the huge amount I won and leave my original money in the safe.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy talk to even think that.
So, but you stuck to your guns and did that. So
and Mark blames the rest of the trip on this. So as the stories unfold, it's all because of me.
Well, there's some other factors too. We'll get to it. But anyway, we headed over to Bellagio and we were pleasantly just surprised to see that they had $10 tables, several $10 tables.
Yeah, and this is like Friday at like.
Yeah, at this point, it's what, 4 in the afternoon?
Yeah,
it's starting to get, late afternoon,
maybe
right?
Not 4,
maybe
but
not that
2:33.
late. So that was great. We got there. So as soon as we got to Bellagio, a couple of listeners, Phil and Greg from DC, stepped up to the table. I think as we were cashing in, they got there at about the same time.
Yeah, I think we were just buying in and they walked up.
And they walked up.
And how'd they pick us out?
That's a good question. I probably just heard our voices, or maybe they'd seen pictures.
Maybe,
but I mean,
but they just came right up.
They came right up, and that's got to be them. Yeah. So we played with them for a little while, and it was bad.
Oh, it was terrible.
It was really bad.
Yeah, it did not go well.
Yeah. So
we didn't even really get on a halfway decent roll. It was like a lot of immediate outs or one number and out.
So we decided, well, let's mix this up a little bit. We just walked over to another $10 table to see if we could turn things around.
Right.
About that time, listener Brad came up to the table. He said, "Oh, hi, I'm Brad from Houston." And I said, "Oh, nice to meet you, Brad. Where are you from?"
He said, after he introduced himself, Brad from Houston.
At this point, I was feeling the effects of having woken up so early and been standing playing craps all day, and
and the horror of me leaving so much money in the safe.
That's right. So Brad started playing with. Brad has an interesting way of betting. So what he does is he just bets the pass line with full odds. So he doesn't make like come bets or additional bets. And we were kind of talking about it. He was saying, well, think about this. Let's say you're doing like a pass line and 2 come numbers, right? And then there's a 7 out. Well, now you've lost 3 bets.
3 base bets.
Yeah, that you've got to recoup, right? So you're going to have to get on a fairly hot roll. Whereas if you're only betting like on the pass line, well, if you lose one, you only have 1 to make up. So maybe, you win the next one.
It's the blackjack strategy of, betting $5 every time and hoping you get on a run and win 10 in a row.
Yeah. And, if you just lose 1, well, you only have 1 to make up.
Hopefully the next hand you'll make that up.
It is like blackjack. The big difference, though, is that with a pass line bet, you need to be patient. It could be a while before you get any kind of decision on that. Right.
Oh, quite a while sometimes.
Yeah. And so Brad was very patient about that. But, I don't think you could do it.
No.
Because,
no way.
How many times have we seen a shooter, actually have a fairly decent roll, but just not roll a point, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, and I get upset when, like, I'm on the 6, the 8, and the 9, and the guy starts rolling 4s and 10s and 5s.
Yeah,
I'm thinking, oh my God, come on.
I think it's a pretty good way to play, if you have the patience for it.
It's not a bad way
to
play.
Yeah.
I mean, if your intention is just to ride it out and play. Yeah. Now, when a hot roll comes, you're not going to win anything.
Well, no, don't say that, though.
Well, unless he makes a bunch of points.
You could. How many times have we been at a table where that's all a shooter is doing?
Right.
But we're losing money because we have all these additional bets, right? And if we were only betting on the pass line, then we'd be winning. So,
yeah, and
it's a trade-off.
If there's a bunch of 7s on a come out, too.
Yeah, that's sure.
Win,
right.
And by the same token, if there's a couple of craps on a come out, that's just like losing your bet. You don't lose any odds, but it's like losing your base bet.
Yeah. So we started playing with Brad a little bit, and then Travis, who we had met at VIMF previously, he came up to the table, and here's the thing. Before he came to see us, he had changed his shirt. into what he thought was his lucky shirt.
Right. Not a new shirt, just a lucky shirt.
And since then, he has admitted it was his super unlucky shirt.
Okay.
Okay. So it might not just be you leaving all that money in the safe.
Maybe it's me and the unlucky shirt in combination.
It could be the combination because we played there for a little while and things weren't, it's like, we need to mix it up again. Let's go over to the Cosmo because we had never played craps at Cosmopolitan before.
Right.
So we said, okay, Travis, lead the way.
Maybe, you know what, when I get home, it's going to be a little late tonight, but when I do get home, I'll work the math out on that and see if it was both those things.
You think maybe it was both? Just work through
I'll work through the math.
Put it in a spreadsheet. It'll be easier. The combination of the shirt and leaving the money in the safe. So we went over to Cosmo. The lowest tables they had there was $15, right? I think,
which is funny. We just come from Bellagio with $10 tables. Cosmo has 15.
Cosmo had fewer craps tables than Bellagio, right?
Sure.
So $15 table. So we started playing there. Do you agree with me when I say that it was easily the worst run during our whole trip, that it was absolutely miserable?
It was terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
It was really bad.
What did you think of the dealers?
Well, Heather was our dealer, right? She was the one that I dealt with the most.
Right.
She was friendly. I mean, she was,
I thought they were friendly, but not overly friendly.
You think there was like an underlying...
I wouldn't say that they were like wanting to be chummy with you. It was more like... I guess the best way to describe them would be like robots.
Oh, all right.
They were just going through the mechanics and saying, here you go. But they weren't going to talk to you.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know. All I remember is Heather. We were there such a short period that she was the only dealer on our side of the table the whole time we were there.
Right.
And she seemed genuinely sad when we were losing.
Yeah,
we had to leave,
she wasn't happy. But remember at Bellagio, the guys were talking to us.
Oh yeah, they were very personable.
They were very personable. And I don't know if you remember the dealer that told the story about his
the off-color story about his girlfriend.
About his girlfriend.
We won't repeat on the show.
We won't repeat that on the show. But for those of you who see us again, that it's a pretty funny story.
Well, it's funny because it sort of came out of nowhere.
Right.
It's
well, that's what's funny about it. He just blurted out some stuff about his girlfriend.
Ask us if you see us next time.
And we're like, we don't know you that well.
So at that point, it's like, well, folks, we're tapped out. You lost all the money that you brought with you.
I had to go back to the room. I turned to Mark and said, well, I've got to go back to the room.
So we said, well, guys, we'll catch up with you later. We're heading back and, just watch Twitter. We got back to Harrah's and it was only about 9:00. And I said, Mike, I'm going to bed. Yeah. I mean, we were exhausted at that point from having.
Yeah. And I literally slept like 2 hours that night. So I was pretty tired. I was like, okay, that sounds good.
Yeah. So we went to bed. It's certainly the earliest I've ever been to bed in Las Vegas. So you got up at what, about 3:30?
Well, we went to bed so early and I fell asleep immediately.
No, not me.
And that never happens in Vegas. I usually have a hard time sleeping.
Yeah.
I fell asleep immediately. So about 3:00, a little after 3, I woke up.
Yeah.
And I'm laying there and I'm thinking, I'm not going to get back to sleep.
Yeah.
So I'm either just going to lay here or put the TV on. I thought, what the hell? I'll take a shower. Mm-hmm. I took a shower. It was 3:30. I thought, I'm going to go down to the tables.
Yeah. Yeah.
And surprisingly, and I don't know if I told you this, when I got down there were 5 tables at Harrah's open.
Okay, well,
at 3:30 in the morning,
it's still Friday night, Saturday morning.
Yeah, they still had 5 tables all full.
Oh wow, okay.
I mean, they wasn't like there was 2 people on some table; they were all full.
Yeah.
But by 5:30, 2 hours later, they were down to 1 table.
Yeah, yeah.
So everyone was leaving.
Yeah. So you got up at about 3:30. You kind of knocked on my door and said, "Oh, I'm heading down."
Yeah,
so
I tried to be quiet.
Yeah, yeah, you were. The problem though was at 4:30, the hotel phone rings.
Yeah, it's my wake-up call.
You called for a 4:30 wake-up call, and then you left.
At 3:30.
You didn't cancel it. You didn't tell me. So it wakes me. I'm thinking, why is
Honestly,
the hotel phone ringing? I'm waking up thinking, oh, that must be Mike calling. But why would you be calling on the hotel phone? It makes no sense.
Right.
I pick it up. Good morning. This is your wake-up at 4:30.
You should have asked for a live person and explained to him he's down at the craps table.
Go wake him up.
Go wake him up.
So thanks for that.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get some sleep.
Well, I was courteous enough not to ask for a call 10 minutes later. They ask you, do you want a subsequent call 10 minutes later?
Call every 10 minutes.
Yeah, call every
If
10.
I'm not there, my friend will be there. He'll pick up.
Yeah, even if he does pick up, call every 10 minutes anyway.
So when you were by yourself then, late night there. You did okay, right?
I did great.
Now at Harrah's they don't have fire bet, but they have the all small tall. And you hit some of it, didn't you?
I hit them like 4 times.
Yeah.
And on 3 of those 4, I was 1 away from hitting the other side. Like I had made all small. I was 1 away. And one time I was telling Mark this, it drove me crazy. It was a 6. I needed a 6 and couldn't get it.
Yeah. Well, I finally came downstairs. I don't know, what was it, like 7 o'clock, something like that. So I started playing with you, and I was the kiss of death. So it just started going
As soon as you
horrible.
got there, and I'm telling Mark, oh, this is going great. I started with 2,000. I was up to like 4,000. And as soon as you came, it just went.
So it got bad. So we said, well, let's go back over to Cromwell. So on the way over to Cromwell, this is when we saw the guy passed out on the floor.
Yeah, we just left Harrah's. He fell off his chair at the slot on the floor.
Yeah.
Really looked dead.
Well, he wasn't moving.
He wasn't moving at all.
Yeah,
and I thought, oh God, did he have a heart attack or is he drunk?
Yeah.
Now it's 7 something in the morning, so you're assuming he's drunk.
Right. He's been up all night.
He's been up all night.
Yeah. So you were about to think, well, gosh, do I need to go in there and do CPR or whatever? But I guess security was on their way, and one of the
waitress
cocktail
was trying to wake him, and he wasn't moving
initially.
So and then so she ran away, and I'm thinking, now do I have to do something here?
Yeah.
And then another waitress walked by, and she just basically shoved him, and then he kind of moved his arm.
Yeah.
And he was just drunk.
Yeah,
At that point, we realized he was drunk.
Yeah. So we continued over to Cromwell. And, let's mention this now. This is a You Can Bet on That exclusive. We don't usually have exclusive news like this.
I don't even know what you're going to say.
Well,
I can't remember.
According to several of the dealers there and the pit boss at Cromwell.
Oh, at Cromwell, yes.
Yeah. They are introducing a party pit that said that was going to be opening in a few weeks. So I don't know. Maybe it's open now.
There was some discrepancy about when it was going to
the exact
open.
time.
Yeah.
But they're going to have a craps table in this party pit, and it will have 100 times odds.
Only on Friday and Saturday nights.
Only on Friday and Saturday nights, according to one dealer. And we asked, what time? And they were saying, maybe from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Yeah, and I'm thinking 10 p.m. to 2 a.m.
We're getting this from the dealers in the pit. I'm sure that they're right about the 100 times odds, because that everybody agreed on. They're going through right now.
They made a big deal out of that.
Yeah. So when it'll be available, will be kind of a question. But that is coming. And that's great news, especially since, we keep talking about how Wynn went to double odds and is it going to spread. Right. And here's a Caesars property in Las Vegas about to offer 100 times odds, at least at one point.
Even if it's for a limited amount of time, it's still great.
And only one table.
One table, it'll be hard to get on.
We'll see. Yeah, it'll depend on what the minimum is.
We asked about the minimum, and that one of the pit bosses, she jokingly looked at us and said, it'll be 500.
Yeah, with 100 times odds. All right, so we were over at Cromwell, and the luck wasn't doing too well. But something happened, and Mike, I'm going to let you tell this story because you're best at telling this. You've told it several times now.
Yeah.
So
it just cracks me up. We're at the table. If you know the pit layout there, it's the southernmost craps table.
Yeah, and you're kind of facing the entrance to Dre's club, right?
You're facing Dre's club.
Yeah.
If you look towards your left a little bit, you'll see the north entrance going out onto the strip.
Yes.
So there's a north entrance and a south entrance.
Yep.
You, as a player, are looking at the north entrance. The south entrance is kind of at your back.
Yes.
So I'm standing right next to the stick man, and Mark's standing next to me. And all of a sudden, the stick man looks at the pit boss, which was a younger woman, and he says...
I think exactly what he said is somebody's stealing something.
Yeah, he said somebody's stealing something.
Yeah.
And she's like, what? And he was looking over at that south entrance.
North entrance.
North entrance, correct. A lady had walked in. It looked like she had walked from the north entrance. She stopped, and where the party pit's going to be, they had a lot of roped off area.
Yeah, a velvet rope.
Yeah, they have that
thing,
velvet
right?
rope hooked on the big metal things, And so I guess this woman unhooked both ends of the velvet rope and then put that under her arm, trying to kind of conceal it, and was walking next to a bank of slot machines, heading for the south entrance of the casino.
Yeah.
So the stick man, whose name was Michael, he can see her at this point. He can see her doing it.
Yeah.
And so he started yelling, "Put it back!" And I mean, he had this deep voice.
Right.
And it sounded so authoritative.
Yeah. And at this point, she's actually out of his line of sight.
Yeah, now
because he's watching the game, right? He's watching the craps game.
He never took his eyes off the game. He kept dealing. But at this point, she's out of his line of sight. She's behind him. So we all turn around and we look, and you could clearly see her with this big rope under her arm, kind of hunched over it, walking out. Meanwhile, Michael, every 2 seconds, is yelling, "Put it back!" at the top of his voice.
Yes.
I mean, it's just like, "Put it back!" And that's all he's saying.
That's right.
Nothing else,
Right.
There's no security around. Nobody's chasing her. No. Right? She's just, but she can hear him, obviously. The whole casino can hear
Everybody
him.
can hear, but she can't tell who's saying it.
No, she has
because
no idea.
his back is to her, right?
And we're all looking at her, and she can see we're not saying it, but it's like some voice from the sky is yelling at her. So she gets to the door of the south entrance. There's like 3 steps, and then you're on the strip. And she's up those steps, and he's still yelling. And so she takes the rope and slings it over some slot machines and walks out. And she's actually on the strip. But Michael doesn't know this. He's still yelling, right? And so she gets out on the strip. She turns around, comes back in, walks over to the rope, which is on this bank of slot machines, picks it up and holds it over her head, showing everybody she's putting it back, and she's dropping it. And then she's like, looks disgusted, like, like, for God's sake, I put it back. And Michael's still yelling. That was great. By far one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was great.
And eventually security came over, and some guy came down. I mean, he had a suit on. He looked like he was like the head pit boss or something, and he asked the pit lady, the pit boss, what was going on, and she said, "Oh, Michael just stopped a major casino robbery."
And he just put the rope back up. And,
it led to we must have talked about that for a half hour after that.
That was pretty funny.
Why in the world was she stealing the rope?
Just to say she did it. I stole a rope from Dre's because it was kind of over there by the Dre's entrance, right?
I guess. Oh God, it was so. But his voice, he had a great voice for that, and he just would not stop. Yeah. I mean, every 2 seconds, he didn't care where she was. He just kept yelling.
So at this point, I said, "Okay, Mike, we need to get downtown." And I said, let's go to Downtown Grand, because I was real hot to see these free buy bets for the 4 and 10 down at Downtown Grand, hoping that they still had them.
I think at this point it was like almost 10 in the morning.
Yeah, it was probably something like that. So I called for an Uber, and they picked us up right over there. It's kind of between Flamingo and the Cromwell, where they picked up for Uber.
This is our second Uber ride.
Mm-hmm, yeah, and this was another good one too, downtown. So he drops us off there right at Downtown Grand, and we walk in, and the craps tables are not open.
No, they don't open until 1.
No, it was 11.
Was it 11?
Yeah, it was 11.
It was 11, and we were there at 10.
We were there. It was probably a little bit before 10.
Yeah.
And the tables don't open at 11, which is a little surprising on a Saturday morning.
Yeah, I would have thought at least one of them would be open. Yeah. They had 2 tables. They have 2 tables.
Yeah, So anyway, so we said, well, let's head over to Golden Gate, which is our, preferred place to play downtown.
Right.
So we headed over to Golden Gate, and we also tweeted we were heading there. And so Brad met up with us again, and Travis again. And also Jeff from Saratoga was there. And we started playing some craps. And initially when we got there, they only had one table open, and only one half of that table was open.
Right.
And the dealers were nice enough.
They're very nice, but they were a bit slow.
Oh, they were more than a bit slow. They were slow and inexperienced, I guess, is the best way to describe it.
They were older guys, though.
Some were, but then there was that younger woman, too.
The younger woman was obviously training.
Yeah,
she seemed to be.
So a combination of all that and the morning crew, it was painfully slow, I thought. And
very slow.
Especially with the bets that you make. You had to keep trying to explain to them, what you were doing. So
yeah, at one point, I'm just telling them what to pay me, and they just paid it. I don't think they knew why.
They walked through it, yeah. And, things started to pick up a little bit, but then it went south again, and said, well, let's...
it was another bad session.
It was
just
bad.
Wasn't good.
Yeah. Sky on the Rocks, Rob, a.k.a. Sky on the Rocks, he came by and said hi on his way to Dupar's to have breakfast. Also, we met up with listener Rick, and we decided, well, let's go get something to eat, and then we'll play at Downtown Grand. By then, it'll be ready.
You're still waiting for those free buy bets.
Yep. So let's go over to Pizza Rock. So we walk all the way back over there to Pizza Rock.
Like
and
2 elderly men.
Mm-hmm, yep. And we go up, and it's 10:30, and Pizza Rock's not open yet.
Yeah, it turns out they don't serve pizza that early. Who would have thought?
Should have occurred.
I mean, at the home, we get pizza early, right?
Where's the goddamn pizza? It did feel like a couple of stupid old men. Why is the door locked? It's lunchtime.
The only thing that would have made it stupider is if we actually started banging on the door, right? Just open the door. The door's stuck.
So we were pretty hungry. So what we ended up doing, we just went over to downtown Grand and we just ate there at Stewart and Ogden. It's kind of like their coffee shop kind of a thing.
It was actually pretty good.
Yeah, it was good. We had fried egg sandwiches.
Fried egg
had
sandwich,
that. Yeah. So we played that. So then finally, it's after 11 o'clock and we head on over to the craps table. So we got there and that's the first thing I asked was, okay, do you still have the free buy bets on the 4 and 10? I said, oh yeah, we still got them. I said, what's the minimum? $5.
Surprising. Can you believe that? $5.
Because we had heard 10, we'd heard 20. Take it from us, at least when we were there, and it was a $5 minimum table.
Right.
$5.
And had they said 20, I still would have thought that's a great deal, right?
Yep.
But $5, that's an amazing deal.
You can do it for $5 and it's a free buy bet. And sure enough, that was it. So that was great. We were playing there for a little while, and then a lot of listeners started to join us. Todd came over and played with us, and Taylor, and also Two-Way Hard 8 from Twitter. He came over and started playing also.
Yeah.
And Phil and Greg, they met us then again too. Brad came by. I don't know if there was any room for him to get on the table at that point.
No,
it was
I think he came
crowded.
and it was pretty crowded. Yeah.
So we all started playing, and I was making these buy bets, and we were talking to the dealers. I said, hey, this is the reason we came here, right? And they're saying, oh yeah, we love this. We're trying to tell them to continue to do it.
Right.
And then they point to this woman who was in the pit and said, she's responsible. I guess she was like their marketing person or something.
She was there with one of the head pit guys.
Yeah. So I went over and I said, hey, we do a podcast. I gave her our card. I said, this is the reason we came here. We would not have come here otherwise.
Right.
But the fact that you had this, and listeners came too,
Right. We filled that table up.
Yeah,
it just opened and we
did.
filled the table.
And here's the thing, Mike, and this is what I keep saying, right? Only like 3 of us were doing these buy bets.
Right, yeah.
Right?
No, I was playing my normal way. I wasn't buying anything.
So the casino's not hurting. Well, you know what I mean when I say the casino's not hurting, right? This is a great marketing tool, I think, for people who are serious about this game to get people there, because we're all still going to play craps like we usually do. Just some of us, and I mean some of us, are going to take advantage of this deal. Not everybody.
Yeah, and even the people who take advantage, how much do they really lose on that?
Yeah, right. And, none of us, we weren't really betting that much. The most I ever had on it at any time was $10 on each of them.
Yeah.
So, I thought it was great.
Yeah. You think about it, if you had to pay the amount of 4s and 10s that came up, what did they lose? $10, $20? Meanwhile, they've got all those people there, and it wasn't going all that great.
No.
So they were making money easily.
Yeah. I would have liked to stayed, but it was going pretty poorly, and you just kind of wanted to move on before you were losing too much money.
Well, it was like I was getting down to where, okay, now I may have to actually go into real money.
Yeah. And I'm changing my strategy. All I'm doing is a pass line bet. Well, it was 10 times odds too, right?
Yeah, so it was 10 times odds.
I've got a pass line bet. I'm not taking 10 times odds. I'm taking maybe double odds, triple odds, and then I'm doing the 4 and 10 for $10 each, and that that's all I'm doing, which is kind of a slower way for me to play.
Right,
and
slower than your normal.
Slower than normal. I was having a blast.
Yeah,
it was great to have all the listeners there too. But
well, it was a fun table, and the dealers were excellent.
Yes,
the dealers were excellent. They were not only fast, but they were engaging. They were talking to us and stuff.
Yep. So I mean, that's absolutely definitely going to get me back there.
Yeah. Oh, I'd have no problem playing there.
Yeah.
I just wish the rolls had been a little better.
Yeah.
They actually weren't bad at first. Remember, at first I was up and we were winning and things were going good. Then it kind of turned a little bit, but we really didn't play there long enough to give it a fair chance.
Yeah, no, that's true.
I mean, had we stayed, it might have turned around again.
Yeah. So. Plus, it was getting a little bit late, and we need to kind of start moving our way over to the D where the main event was going to take place.
Right.
And so we walked over there to kind of scope out everything, and then I said, Mike, I could really go for a milkshake.
Right.
Doesn't that sound good?
He just all of a sudden wanted a milkshake.
And so we ran into Al from San Diego upstairs at the D, and I was saying, where do they have ice cream here, like milkshake? And he didn't know, and I was trying to think. And as we were walking by Four Queens, I saw that there was a Dryer's ice cream place there. I said, oh, perfect. That's where I'll go. Mm-hmm. So you and I, we went in there, walked up to where the Dryer's is. It's like a Dryer's Subway combo, right?
Yeah, it's like a Subway sandwich that has some Dryer's ice cream in a case.
Right. So I said, I went up and said, oh, I'd like a chocolate shake made with vanilla ice cream. And so the woman...
Turns out they can't do that.
The woman kind of looked at me and said, well, here are our ice cream flavors. We don't have any syrup.
Yeah.
I can make a shake from any of these ice cream flavors.
Which basically means she can scoop ice cream in a cup and then add a little milk and thin it out. So it's thinned out ice cream is what you got.
So I said, well, give me a vanilla shake. So she scooped a few scoops of vanilla into the shake maker and put in some milk and whipped it up. And I paid $4 and I had the best milkshake I've ever had.
I'll make you one of those every week. Just a little milk inside there. We could probably put water, right?
Oh, it was so stupid. I mean, it was fine, I guess. I mean, right? It's pretty lame, but
it's like when you're a kid and you eat half your ice cream and then the second half you take your spoon and you stir it up really good.
Yeah.
You make it kind of thin, almost like a thick shake,
yes.
and you eat it that way.
Yeah, except that milk was added to it to thin it out, like you said.
Even more. Right. And charge $4.
Yeah, that's right. One thing about Four Queens, and some people may know this already too, but they do have a bank of 9.6 Jacks or better, kind of right there in front of the cashier area. Yeah. They're labeled, it's like 9.6 Jacks or better. And it's funny because the machines themselves don't say Jacks or better. Some of them will say like double bonus.
Yeah, they say like double bonus.
But it's actually they're multi-game machines.
Right. Yeah, so, why do they advertise like that?
I don't know why that
Because walking by there, I thought they were just double bonus. Yeah, and then we hit the thing and there's a whole bunch of games.
Yeah, it's multi-game. So, be aware of that. Also, I noticed that Jacks or better was the only full pay game on those machines. So if you pick like bonus poker or anything else, it wasn't full pay. 9.6 Jacks or better was the only full pay on those machines.
How many times do you think people go up to a machine like that and want to play something like Deuces Wild or bonus poker or something else because it seems more interesting than boring Jacks or better, right? And don't realize that the Jacks are better is what they should be playing.
Well, I don't know. Because it wasn't like advertising full pay video poker here. It specifically said 9.6 Jacks are better. So I don't imagine that happens that often. I don't think so. Yeah. No.
It's just, a lot of people, I like Deuces Wild because it is more interesting.
Yeah.
More interesting in that you have different choices.
Yeah. So anyway, main event started at about 2:00. So it was a Vegas tripping. And then Dr. Dave talked a little bit about working for Donald Trump back in Atlantic City. And then Vegas Gang and 5 Honey by Midnight. And all of those, with the exception of Dr. Dave, all of those are now available up on the respective websites as podcasts. So everybody can go back and listen to those. But after the main event, we played a little bit and it just kept getting worse and worse.
It wasn't going well.
Yeah.
No.
And so, we didn't really meet up with anybody after that. One last ditch effort, like the last hour we had before we had to go to the airport, we did have a little luck.
And we played at...
it was just Harrah's.
At Harrah's, right. And we did do decent. I mean, made a little bit of a comeback.
Yeah.
But it was so good that first morning.
I know.
And then just kind of went downhill from there. And it wasn't like any one table except for maybe Cosmo was like totally devastating.
Well, Cosmo was absolutely the worst.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the rest weren't bad. It's just they slowly drained us. After an hour, it was like, okay, we're done here.
Yeah. So it was time to go. Yeah, our trip kind of ended with a whimper. My 100th trip ended with a whimper. We got an Uber to the airport. Now,
you should have mentioned, since you made a thing about me and Uber, you should have mentioned the Uber ride we got from downtown back to Harrah's.
Oh, that's true.
After the show.
You're right. When we went from the D to, we actually took it straight to the Cromwell because that's where we were going to play. Yeah, she's
first thing she said is, "Oh, I'm not going to take the Strip." And I'm thinking, well, I hope not.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you were downtown, get on the freeway and get off at Caesars.
She went this roundabout way and even kind of went almost down the wrong way on a one-way street. And she was trying to avoid, I guess, it was the Country Music Awards were that week. And I guess there were some events she was trying to avoid. But
she basically took the Strip.
It seemed like she just didn't know her way around. No, she never got on the Strip proper.
She got on the Strip to Stratosphere.
Yeah.
And then she kind of veered off. But.
So that wasn't as great a ride. But anyway, when we were getting the ride to the airport, the Uber driver didn't know where the Uber pickup area was for Harrah's. So, I'm watching on the phone. She's 1 minute away. Now she's 2 minutes away. She was just trying to find the pickup. And finally, we just saw her 100 feet away.
Right. You just said, do you think that's her? And you walked over there and sure enough, that was her.
So that's something to keep in mind too. Some of these Uber drivers might not know where they're supposed to pick people up, at specific locations.
They don't don't really, I mean, they do have a designated location, but it's not like a taxi stand where it's like by the front door.
It's usually off to the side. Yeah, especially the one at Harrah's.
It's around the corner.
It's around the corner behind a wall. Yeah.
Right.
It's not, you can't really see it from the
no,
entrance.
you would have no way of knowing that's there unless somebody tells you, go around the corner, look for the sign.
So anyway, it was time to come home. We got to the airport, no problem, and we were leaving through the sea gates. And we got up to the TSA area for the sea gates. And anybody who's been there before knows that can be just a sea of people, just a zoo.
A zoo.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. We got up there. There were literally no passengers waiting to go through. He is not
joking.
I know.
0 passengers.
I know what the word literally means. Nobody.
There were no passengers. It was Mark and I.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, oh my God, we could have played another hour.
Yeah, that's right.
Because, I mean, we allow like plenty of time thinking we're going to stand in this huge monster line. Nobody. Yeah, just not one person.
Went straight through. And the weird thing was, though, once we actually got to the sea gates, it was crowded. There were people everywhere.
At the gates, they were full. And our flight was full.
Our flight was full again. That was not quite as big a surprise, I guess. You know, the last flight on a Saturday night.
Right. But the only thing I can think of is that everybody had already gotten to the airport. We were the last people to get to the airport on Saturday.
Yeah.
The very last two people.
That has to be it. There was nobody behind us. Everybody was already there.
Everyone was already there.
They planned their day. So that was VZZZT. We actually had a very good time, and it was great to meet up with everybody once again. So overall, a successful trip, even though it was kind of a bummer we were up so much initially. And then
the hard thing is we were up so much, and then you come home, you know, it's like, oh my God, why did my dad's giving me a lecture about, you know, you should have just quit. I'm like, what, quit Friday morning at 10?
Yeah, right.
I mean, what am I going to do the rest of the weekend?
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for the trip. So, you know, we're going kind of long here. Let's take a few phone calls, and maybe we'll save the rest for next time. We do have quite a few phone calls we need to get caught up on.
And for those that we don't get to, we will definitely
do it next time. Show. Yeah, I don't want to get too backed up here. But don't forget, call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
And maybe we'll play your clip on the show. So first up is Vito.
Hey guys, Vito from Connecticut, just calling in. I got a big trip coming up, and I kind of wanted to pick your brain for some advice. Every piece of literature on gambling or craps I read always tells me to never play for comps, never play for that. And the casino near me has a 3 times points promotion coming up in a couple weekends. And for some reason, I feel the urge to go and just play all day. Hopefully I can play all day, but just play longer than I would. Normally you go up for a few hours, play. But I feel like just playing all day and night and trying to rack up as many status points as I can to propel me to a different level. And I know you guys are big into the total reward, so I was just wondering, do you find yourself compelled to play differently or play on a day you normally wouldn't go because of promotions at casinos near you? Thanks. Hope to hear from you soon.
We would definitely change a day.
If there is a comp day where you get like 10 times.
Right. If like normally we go up on Friday, but there's a multiplier on Saturdays. Oh, well, let's go Saturday. I wouldn't add a day. Like let's go Friday and Saturday, but we would definitely switch days to do it.
And they have a multiplier every Thursday here, but we work.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense
and we work on Friday, so we can't go up Thursday night for the multiplier, which I hate, but every once in a while they'll have one like on a Saturday, and we'll switch our Friday to Saturday. Yeah. To do that. I mean, that makes sense. You're going to go anyway. You might as well go on the day when you get more comps.
Yeah.
But will we stay longer? Probably not.
Probably not. No.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, every once in a while we have a reason where we get out there earlier for some reason and we have a little longer session. But that's usually something like, we got out of work early or...
Yeah. I can't think of any instance where we have changed the way that we play.
No, definitely we haven't changed the way we play.
Yeah. So... I do remember there was one time where you were very close to getting a free computer.
Right. Okay.
And so you were, if you would stopped like right now, you wouldn't get the computer. But if you played for like another half hour, you would have gotten to that point and gotten the computer.
Right.
And in that case, it was kind of worth it to you because you'd been gambling anyway up to that point.
Right. Well, I think I had one computer already, right?
Was that
Remember?
it?
Yeah. And if I played a little more, I was getting a second computer.
Yeah.
It was like an iPad or something I was getting. So we did play longer to get that.
Yeah. So, but that was a case where it wasn't like you were starting from scratch and it was like, okay, I'm starting right now to get this second computer.
Right.
You'd already earned some credits just based on how you'd
it.
regularly played.
Yeah, I think I had gone up and they said something like, well, you only need so many more to get. So we went back and played some more.
Yeah. All right, next call.
Yeah, hi. I was wondering if you guys ever enter a crap tournament and if you guys have any tips when you do enter a tournament, because there's a tournament coming up at the end of the month at the Golden Nugget and the California Hotel. And your previous episode, you guys mentioned how to get the field. And Dr. Mike said it's a sucker's bet. And if there's any methods you've seen anybody play. Typically, if I bet the field, I bet 5, 6, 8, 25 on a 5, 36 and 8, to $25 on the field. Dice comes out, roll is not a field number. It's a 6 or 8. I drop $2, go to 42, take the quarter. You place the field. If it's a field number that comes out, I get paid 25, 1-to-1, for the 2 and 12s. I'll place it on the 9 or 2 and 12 come out on the next roll. I place the 4 and 10. Once I get all the place numbers up with all quarters, I press to black and I continue and I just end the field. I use the field just to play 9, 10, and 4. And that's basically how I play the field. Thank you.
Okay, so first, just real quick about the craps tournaments. We did talk about craps tournament play back on episode 80. So if you go back and listen to that, we talked about it in some detail.
And I have seen a lot of different strategies in craps tournaments.
Sure.
And I don't know that there's one
what you have
that you can say is definitively going to work.
You have to look at what everybody else is doing, look at their chip stacks.
Right.
And at some point, maybe you just have to decide, I need to do the exact opposite of what most everybody else is doing.
Right.
Or I need to go out there and bet everything on a 12, or as much as they'll let me bet. Right. Hopefully this next roll is so I can jump up to the lead. It really, there's no simple system. You have to keep watching and seeing what's going on.
And I think our advice, though, would be to play very conservative. Initially. And let other people kind of destroy themselves until you realize, wait a minute, now I need to make a move.
Yeah, there's like 5 more rolls left, right?
And there's people way ahead of me, and that's when you have to do something crazy like bet all your money on 12.
Or you stay conservative if everybody else has just killed themselves.
Right, depending on who's left and what's going on.
Now, as far as the field, so this listener is talking about a kind of a modified version of the Iron Cross. This is where you bet money in the field, and then you place the 5, 6, and 8. So you're going to get paid on any number that comes up except a 7.
Correct.
Right? If 5, 6, or 8 come up, you're going to get the place bet. Any other number is going to be a field number other than 7. You'll get paid there.
Right.
And it sounds like he just, keeps it up so that he can then ultimately place the 5, 9, 4, and 10 and like that.
He's putting the money he wins on the field back onto the other numbers.
So on the last episode, you asked, hey, if anybody's got field systems, I want to hear them.
Yeah,
and I don't know if you were serious or not, but people are coming at us with field systems.
Well, that's a serious, he's got a valid point there.
All right.
I don't know that I would do that. I just don't know that I'd have that much fun.
Well, here, I got another one for you. Let's hear from Frank.
Hi, you had asked in episode 96 whether there was any decent method for playing the field, and the method I tend to use that works pretty well is you see it twice in a row and you bet on it. It's that simple. And if you start winning, you continue to increase your bets. You can actually use that system with just about any series of bets or any bets on the table. So what I'll do is I'll do that on the field, but I'll also do it for the collection of non-field numbers. So, for instance, if I see a 5 and a 6, I may bet on the 6 or the 8. If I see another one, I'll bet one of the other numbers, and then if those start hitting, you keep increasing. You can do it on the hard ways. You see 2 hard ways in a row, or a hard way and a 12 or a 2, and you bet all the hard ways. It works pretty well, actually, and it does not put a lot of money out there until you actually start seeing somebody on a streak. So that's my 2 cents. Hope it helps. My name's Frank. Bye-bye.
Okay, I will agree with Frank in that it prevents you from putting a lot of money out there.
Okay,
So-
that's
right,
that's a valid point.
Okay, so if you're waiting to see what happens, then you're going to have less money out there. It's kind of like the 5-count system. If you've ever
Right,
been familiar
right,
with that,
sure.
right? You're not getting money out there all the time.
And the theory behind that is you're waiting to see if the person has, and I'm putting this in quotes, a so-called quality roll.
Yeah, see, now that's the theory, but really all it does is it limits how much money you have at risk.
Right.
And in that way, it's good. However, if you're watching and it's like, oh, a couple field rolls come out, and then you decide to make your bet, that in no way is an indication that a field number is any more likely or less likely to come up.
Because what you're assuming at that point is, okay, 2 nines came up.
Yep.
So the dice must know 9 is coming up. So they're going to roll, and no matter how the guy rolls them, 9's going to come up again.
Right.
No.
So
that
again,
doesn't-
I have no problem with this system. That's fine. And it's not a bad way to play. Just keep in mind that there's nothing magical about these previous rolls. All rolls are independent.
Right.
And what this is doing, it's helping you with money management more than it's helping you jump onto a big roll.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if there was something magical, they'd have a big poll that listed like all the numbers that have come up, like at the roulette table. And then you could see, well, red came up 12 times. So obviously the next roll's black.
They should have that. I want to say that I saw that once at a craps table where it did show like years ago. Am I dreaming this? Folks, let us know if you ever saw this. I want to say at one point, because I remember like a pit boss complaining about it, like he had to enter it every time.
Someone
right?
would have to enter it.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe this is a dream I had long ago, but I want to say like quite a while ago, like back in the 90s, maybe it was.
I don't ever remember that. I think I would remember that. I'd get a kick out of that.
Yeah. All right.
I'd love to see that actually.
Yeah,
right?
I know. I would too.
Because usually you got to ask the weird guy in the corner with the tablet and the pencil who's writing the numbers down. What was the last ones repeated?
That's right. Are you looking at me?
Yeah. Hey, Mark. What numbers were rolled?
All right. Well, we definitely have more phone calls. I think what we'll do is we will save them for next time. And what we'll probably do is just have like an all voicemail episode. We'll probably have enough phone calls to just do the whole thing. But I don't want to go too long here. So let's cut it off here. Hey, we do want to thank a couple of people for PayPal donations. First of all, Andrew, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Also, Michael, he said he was heading to Vegas. He's probably there right now, or maybe just got back, actually, looking what he said here. Heading to Vegas this weekend. So it looks like he was there through April 13th. He said to pick up the money you left behind on the craps tables last weekend.
Well, he should have done well then.
Yeah, because we left a lot there.
We left a lot there. I think he'll do fine.
I think he did okay.
I hope he gets it, really. Because one mic to another, that's fine. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's good.
I got no problem.
Hey, be sure to check out our TV listings showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks. We update those listings every Wednesday using a customized program to search through all the raw American TV data. Just go to our webpage, youcanbetonthat.com, and click on the link at the top that says TV listings. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS. Or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. Also, follow us on Twitter at YouCanBetOnThat. We tweet when we're heading to a casino, and we'd love to meet up with you. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/YouCanBetOnThat. And finally, head on over to iTunes and write a review on us. When you do, it helps us get new listeners. Dr. Mike?
Well, as you know, Mark and I are both like pretty big sports fans.
Yes.
So, and this is a great time of year. We had the Masters last weekend.
Oh my God, that was
we cried
painful.
for hours after
geez.
that. And then, baseball's in its first weeks or so, and hockey playoffs are starting. Our local hockey team has
got a minor
playoffs
league hockey
coming.
team, yeah.
Yeah, and, there's just a ton of stuff going on. It's a good time of year for us. And it's so depressing we have the Padres.
Look, folks, I know we whine a lot about San Diego sports, but really, none of you have anything on us.
Yeah, no.
San Diego sports fans,
No
all right?
I mean, the Padres, I know they lost today and they actually scored a run. But prior to today, they had played 8 games and been shut out in 4 of them.
Okay.
So I worked the math out on that.
You figured it out,
I figured it out. They've been shut out in 4 games and they
Out of
played
8.
8. So 51 shutouts is what we can expect.
You mean 81?
81. They say 51.
I don't know where it came
I don't
from.
know where that came from. 81 shutouts this
81,
year.
all right.
162 games,
Yep.
81 will be shutouts. I checked the over-under at Bally's in Vegas when we were there.
Uh-huh.
It was 4.
I want you to point out next time we're at a sports book, the over-under for any team before the season, number of times they'll be shut out.
They'll be shut out.
I'd just like to see who sets those numbers out.
It's some guy over in the corner. He's got his own booth. He's not affiliated with a casino.
That's right. That's right. He puts up his numbers just on this little, whiteboard that he brought with us. Are you with the casino? No, I'll take your action.
Your action. No. It's all like things like bad things. The reason they don't take that bet is because it's such a negative thing.
Yeah.
I mean, who would want to bet that? But seriously, 81 shutouts. That's going to be incredible.
That's going to be something.
Yeah, we're going to go down the history books.
We'll hang our head on that.
One good thing about San Diego sports is we are in a lot of the history books. I mean, it's usually on the bad side of it. Like, right. We had the most lopsided Super Bowl loss.
Right.
Or, we were shut out the most of any team. We're in a lot of those.
Yeah.
So, our name is in the book.
Yeah, sure. Oh, it's in the book.
Yeah. So, that's what we've got going in San Diego. And that's why we go to the casino every Friday night.
Every Friday night.
Yeah. It's our one way to get away.
While we have the game on, behind us at the craps table.
Yeah, they do have Harris, Southern California. For those of you who haven't been there, they have TVs right by the craps table.
Yeah, so that's nice.
And they'll put it on any game you want.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Which is really nice.
Yep.
I mean, if you're an LA fan, you ask for that game, they'll just switch it as long as nobody else is watching something else.
Oh, yeah.
So
absolutely.
it's great.
Yep. All right. Thanks for listening.
Good night.